Hello guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Once again I'm Greg and this is the Starting 11 show. I'll give you a bit of injury news as well as my predicted starting lineup. Of course, it's our penultimate run in of the season. We've got Wolves. Injury news for this one's short. All that Ancelotti has said is that King and Mina are back in contention and can be chosen. It's a bit of a labour of love at the moment, isn't it? I remember doing these when we were going through our patches of form this season and thinking we've got some real issues here, but good problems to have. We were thinking who's our best centre-back because Keane started the season, great form. Holgate ended last season in great form. Godfrey came in and was an absolute revelation. And I still think technically Mina, although being injury prone, is probably our best centre-back. So we were having those discussions. Iwobi was doing well at wing-back. Andre Gomez seemed to be coming into some form at the same time as Sigurdsson. We were having conundrums around the pitch where we almost had too much quality per position. You know, there was a time where Iwobi had played himself into the team and I was struggling to take him out of it, but obviously huge changes in fortunes since then. We've really been on the downturn, and now, you know, I'm looking at the team that started last game and thinking, do we make any changes? And the sad state of affairs is that we don't have the personnel to change our luck, to change our favour, to you know, the shortcomings that are in this starting 11 from last week can't be resolved with the personnel we have on the bench. So we can only hope that the thing that makes the change for the last two games, you know, we're not really competing anything for anything unless we're very, very lucky. But you know, just to make it a little bit less miserable, we can hope that the only change that affects that is having fans back in the stadium. You know, maybe that's the only bounce that we can have. Because personally, looking at the players, looking at the personnel, and looking at the systems we're having to play at the moment, I can't really see this getting much better just through personnel changes. That being said, looking at the shape last week, I went out of my way and said we go stick with the five at the back. We did do that. You know, a lot of people would have thought it's too defensive against a team like Sheffield United. But Ancelotti came out in a press conference and talked about the two shapes he's played this season, the one where we sit back and defend, and then the one where we look to be a bit more creative. And he gave the sort of win rates between those two formations, and he very much favours the blocking and counter-attacking than trying anything creative. It's understandable with the personnel. He's created quite a solid block in defence. I think that'll only be bolstered by Mina being back if he can stay fit for this game. So let's go into the team. I think we'll see Pickford in goal, of course. Coleman's our only option at right back. You know, it was him or Holgate, and Holgate seems to have played his way out of favour now as well. I think gone are the days of Iwobi at wing back. Godfrey could probably play wing back. He can do everything else, but let's keep him in the back line whilst he's in the form he's in. I think the only real change we're going to see in the back line here is Holgate's card seems to have been read, doesn't it? It seems to be his favours run out with Ancelotti. I don't think he's been as impressive. I can see why, if Ancelotti wants to bring in a good centre-back, a good experienced centre-back is what he said, that Holgate's the first man that's fallen off the list. Maybe he's been unlucky that he's had to play out of position. You know, he's done a lot of right-back this season. He was even forced for a couple of games into the midfield, but I think, you know, Mina's probably technically the best. You know, maybe he falls down the pecking order because he's injury prone. Michael Keane's solid. Godfrey is the man at the moment. Holgate's 24. You know, he's not quite the young prospect. Having him able to play at fullback isn't really a unique card he can play, because Godfrey's so good when he's deployed out there, and he's got everything that Holgate has, but more. So I can understand why Holgate is not very good on the ball. His delivery is not great. Is the man who's going to fall, and I think he falls out of my team here for Yerry Mina. Next to him, Michael Keane, still full of the odd mistakes in the big games, but what are we going to do? And Ben Godfrey, of course, on the left is Luca Dean. So, you know, it's not an ideal shape, but I think until we're there next season, this is probably what we're going to see. I can see, you know, we played it against Sheffield United. Why wouldn't we play it against Wolves? Obviously, he probably looked at the Sheffield United game and thought, I wouldn't like to see that happen again. So maybe he'll change the formation in that respect. But with City coming, obviously we'll definitely revert back to this formation. So why change it just for the game in the middle, especially when we're sort of lost for things to play for. Decore, of course, keep him in the team. He might be knackered. He's come back from injury and then been forced to play a very dynamic role. But if Carlo Ancelotti's happy that there's only 2 games left of the season, so he can probably get through that unscathed, then that's fine. Next to him will be Alan. A little bit of discussion recently about if we're utilising him properly. I think it's definitely an interesting conversation, but right now he's the only one, maybe with the exception of Tom Davies, but again, I think he's underutilised when he's just used as a number 6. It's the best we've got, so it's what we're going to have to run with. And then, from here on out, it's pretty much business as usual. I think it'll be James instead of Gylfi Sigurdsson. I know Sigurdsson came on pretty early doors. I think it was at half-time to replace Mason Holgate when we realised that the shape wasn't working, or we conceded against the grain of what the plans were. But he didn't do much, did he? I think Andre Gomes has had good cameo appearances, but we might as well be looking at the players we want to keep next season, and these are the guys, really, aren't they? And then, of course, the front two, it'll shift when we move forward, but the front two will be Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. Richarlison is really stinking the place up at the moment, isn't he? It's great to have James back because he provides that creativity, and he should have had an assist last game if it wasn't for that a couple of wasted opportunities from Richarlison. I'm hoping it's an off-season. Surely it's an off-season. We've seen his qualities before, but blimey, in a time where he said he was going to leave or was holding on for one more year, you'd think he'd be showing all the qualities he had, but it's been a bit of a dismal season for him, and I'm worried. I'm very much worried that in the last 2 games he's not going to be able to pick things up. He's sort of run out of games to change his favours in. So here's the team. Pickford in goal, backline of Coleman, Mina, Keane, Godfrey and Luca Dean, Decore and Alan in midfield, James in front of them with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, of course, up front. King, is it too late? My thoughts are, what's the point of bringing him in now? Not much to play for. It's pretty obvious we're not going to do anything with him after his loan runs out. So, what's the point of giving him minutes? Iwobi, I've lost the plot with him a little bit. So do we give minutes to someone like Broadhead? I don't know, just roll the dice at the moment. Someone maybe like Broadhead, who I imagine is probably out of the plans next year. He's 22 now, so it's game over. Maybe just say to him, this is your opportunity. Maybe if you perform here, you could be in the plans, or we'll try and get you a nice loan instead of selling you. We could say to him, come into this game, do what you can do, and surely he'd be hungrier than the boys on the pitch are at the moment. That's what we need, hunger. So people looking like they're playing. You'd think European football's a big enough incentive to players like these to have that. But maybe you can just say to one of the young guns, obviously you'd love it to be Gordon, but he's obviously been wasted out on loan. But so maybe Broadhead's the man for that. I don't know. That's the team, guys. Let me know what you'd run with. Let's hope for a good result going into City. And let's hope that we're not put in a position where, if there's anything to play for, we have to get it on the final day against City, because we all know how that's going to turn out. Cheers, guys. Good luck.